The Ukrainian knight is coming out fighting. Oleksandr Usyk vows to enforce the mandatory fight on Anthony Joshua. Man's not going anywhere. He said, give me my title shot or release the belt. Release the WBO if you don't want the smoke. Those are the base. That's what's coming from the camp of Oleksandr Usyk. Let's jump into the comments of of Usyk's co-promoter Alexander Krasyuk. Usyk's been the WBO mandatory challenger for more than 1 year. He's talking to Sky Sports. He said he agreed to let AJ versus Pulev happen. With regards to that, the winner fights him next. The statement is still solid. Our plan is A, beat Derek Chisora, B, push AJ to comply with the WBO rules or vacate the title, C, defeat AJ or any other WBO champion or contender and become the heavyweight champion. Simple and practical. So those are the words of the co-promoter of Oleksandr Usyk. So they're not listen, they're not playing, Oleksandr Usyk is not playing. He knows how to crack a joke, but it's coming to business. Man saying, listen, give me my title shot or vacate the titles. I ain't playing about. Give me my title shot or vacate the WBO. Usyk ain't playing about. Because here, most fans don't actually know this, but Oleksandr Usyk, there was a time before they agreed for this Pulev Joshua fight to happen. The WBO and the IBF were wrangling about whose fighter from which sanctioning body should get their title shot first. One side was saying Usyk, the other side we want our Usyk guy to fight for WBO. IBF was pushing for Pulev, and then some people even thought that Josh was gonna have to relinquish both belts. But they came to a decision, and then obviously they went for Pulev to go first and Usyk to go second. And a lot of people are jumping saying he's gonna fight Pulev, then he's gonna fight Fury. What are these people on? AJ's got Pulev and Oleksandr Usyk to take care of. Usyk's still got Chisora to take care of as well, but AJ's got Pulev, yeah, and he's got Oleksandr Usyk. Usyk's not gonna let AJ go fight Tyson Fury, because when fights Fury and they're gonna have their rematch, when's Usyk gonna get his shot? So Oleksandr Usyk is not having it. He's seen the timeline of what could happen if he doesn't get his shot, and he wants his shot. He's come up from cruiserweight. He's found himself as a super champion in the position for WBO title shot to become unified heavyweight champion against relinquishing AJ of his belts. And he's not going to be wasting any time, fighting journeymans when he could be pushing for his title shot now. It doesn't make any sense. So AJ's in a bit of trouble here. He's going to have to take on Pulev. He's going to have to take on Oleksandr Usyk. Pulev, I believe, is an easier fighter for AJ stylistically than Usyk. Usyk, elusive mover. We know what he's capable of doing. Obviously, we haven't seen him in heavyweight. We only saw him against Witherspoon, and most people believe his performance against Witherspoon wasn't great. But come on, first fight in heavyweight boxing, coming back from elbow injuries and this, that, and the other. I expect to see a peak condition Usyk against Anthony Joshua, because listen, if this guy comes up from cruiserweight and defeats Anthony Joshua in his own division, Oleksandr Usyk is up there as one of the greatest fighters of all time, Would you say that he's better than Evander Holyfield? If he comes there, beats AJ, goes into unification against Tyson Fury, and beats Tyson Fury, Oleksandr Usyk is one of the best fighters of all time if he's able to pull something like that off. In a short space of time, with not many heavyweight fights, crazy stuff, man, if he's able to pull that one off. But in terms of Oleksandr Usyk vowing to enforce the mandatory shot, that doesn't shock me in the slightest. I said it in my previous videos before, I expect Usyk to enforce this mandatory, because if he doesn't enforce it, it's going to be a long time. It could be 2022 before this fight actually happens, because AJ is going to fight Pulev. He's going to go fight Tyson Fury. He's going to rematch Tyson Fury. What if there's a trilogy? We don't know if there's going to be any draws. Then Usyk's going to be just sitting there fighting guys who could get beat by someone else, and he's going to not be getting his title shot anytime soon. And I think stylistically as well, AJ is better for Usyk than Tyson Fury is. Tyson Fury, a bigger, taller guy, technically better, defensively much better than AJ in my opinion, and AJ is a much better fight for Usyk. So Usyk knows this. He wants his title shot because he knows it potentially wouldn't happen if he wastes too much time. He knows that if AJ goes on to fight Fury and Fury beats Anthony Joshua, he's probably going to have to take on a much more difficult opponent in Tyson Fury, and he wants to strike now on AJ, where AJ's coming off the loss to Andy Ruiz. Even though he beat Andy Ruiz in the rematch, it didn't look great, didn't look spectacular. So we also need to see what happens with Pulev. He wants to take on Anthony Joshua when Anthony Joshua is probably looking weakest, when Anthony Joshua, is coming off loss to Andy Ruiz, even though he won the rematch. We don't know if the confidence is fully there. He wants to fight now. He doesn't want no wrangling in no timeline with Tyson Fury and all this nonsense going on. He wants to take his shot now, And also, another thing is that if Joshua was to lose to Kubrat Pulev, if I don't know if there's a rematch clause, because normally mandatories don't have to have rematch clauses. So I don't know if Pulev's got one with AJ or not, but if he doesn't, because Pulev beats AJ, then Kubrat Pulev's gonna have to take on Usyk. I think Usyk will beat. Sorry, guys. I think Usyk will beat Kubrat Pulev. So I think Usyk's doing the right thing, enforcing his mandatory. He should do it. The timeline makes sense. It's his opportunity now coming up from cruiserweight, and why not? So drop your comments in the comment section below. What do you think about Usyk vowing to enforce the mandatory on Anthony Joshua, not wasting any time? Wants his title shot. Would Oleksandr Usyk beat Anthony Joshua? I think stylistically, in terms of his movement, elusiveness, obviously he's not a prolific puncher coming up from cruiserweight, similar to Michael Hunter, not prolific punchers, but the accumulation of shots that Alexander's known for inflicting on his opponents as stop guy, just like Tony Bellew. So Joshua, he's not I won't say he's got a glass chin, but I don't think he takes a plenty of amount of shots very well, in my opinion. Looking at what happened with Andy Ruiz, I think Usyk, in terms of his movement, his footwork, his technical ability, his Olympic pedigree. AJ's got Olympic pedigree as well. Coming up from cruiserweight with the speed can give AJ all manners of problems. So drop your comments in the comment section below. What do you guys think about this fight? Anthony Joshua versus Usyk. Drop your comments again. Cool.